have folks coming in, which is great, and we'll go ahead and get started while people are doing. How you doing, Tom?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. It's great to have you. I am Dave Lowe. I'm the GovBrief host for this session. This is the West Coast session, or the 1 p.m. session. We did one earlier, which was great. We had a lot of participation there. And with me, I have Tom Wongard. He's the El Presidente of Cartridge Savers, based in where?
Madison, Wisconsin, the great Midwest.
Madison, Wisconsin, the place of fried cheese curds. Awesome. Last time I was there in Milwaukee, that was great. We were talking about that earlier. So quick disclaimer, this event is sponsored by Cartridge Savers, who is a vendor. It's not affiliated with GSA or endorsed by GSA or any other agency. It's provided to you, the audience, for informational purposes only. And all participation in this briefing is voluntary, and any engagement by you, personnel from the government, is not an indication or endorsement of purchasing from any vendor, including Cartridge Savers. So go ahead and open this up for me, Adam, and we'll do this. Why are you here? Can you do that for me real quick? Is that working? Adam?
There are no polls associated with this webinar.
Ah, interesting. That doesn't make any sense. We are having issues with GoToWebinar today, so we will just have to roll into why you're here in other ways. So we're going to put you back in control, and the control is you're going to open that panel on the side, and you can ask questions. You can't do the polls because for some reason that's not working. But if you put your audio pin in, we can communicate back and forth if you called in on a phone, and you can also email FSSI@cartridgesavers.com, also known as Fizzy, right, Tom?
That's right, and my emails will pop up there on the screen, so if you're looking to ask a question that way,
yep,
I'll get them.
You can do that as well. So this will be the best briefing ever if this, we're going to test your skills in being able to fill this back out to us, and you just do this, and Tom had to say if Dave was wearing cologne, so I appreciate that, Tom. Thank you very much. He can obviously smell me all the way from DC to Madison, Wisconsin. So with that, it'd be best briefing ever. Tammy says, if it was brief, love it. And George says, if it starts and ends on time. We hope so. We hope that's the case. It'll be 40 minutes max. That was the idea. Carol, it would explain why vendors have an ordering limit, ordering dollar limit. You want to throw into that right now, why that dollar limit might be there?
Sure. So that's part of the GSA schedule. For Schedule 75, it's maxed out at 150,000 per order. There are also purchasing card limits that were at 3,500. They're up to $10,000 now, but might vary slightly by agency if you have different rules. That's
right. So there you go. If you're not, and Mark says, if I'm not asked to answer stupid questions, hopefully we don't have stupid questions that we're asking you. Carrie, if it helps easily order office supplies at a good price within government regulations, I do believe that we will be able to accomplish that, right, Tom?
Yep, we'll cover that.
That's right. Kurt, processes were made easier and not more convoluted. That absolutely, we would hope that would be the case as well. And Nanette, teams within our organization using GSA tools would participate and share lessons learned with other participants. Love it. If you want to share things, that's great. Susan, you let us know what options we have. Well, that I hope we are doing, and we will bypass this poll but we do want to know what your issues with ordering office supplies. If you want to pop that open on the right-hand side, that'd be great, and you can let us know. So for procurement, we want to welcome all the procurement professionals that are here. We know what you're up against because we see it from the outside, but I've talked to folks all the time. P card holders, you just mentioned them with the $10,000 limit now for most agencies, department heads, contracting officers, contracting specialists, logistics management, facilities management, all those folks, as well as GSA specialists. Thank you for being here. We know that you have a tough job to do, and we want to help you do what you need to have and get that done. So Cartridge Savers started in 1994. You have a little bit of experience here, Tom, in the federal space, don't you?
That's right. 1994, I was pretty young, but it's a family-owned business, second generation. So, you know, I was helping out from the start. We started off doing remanufactured toner cartridges in-house, and that was all we did. We ended up getting a reman toner contract with the USDA after doing some state of Wisconsin work, and we expanded the business from there. We ended up adding the OEM, the original equipment manufacturers, the brand name toner cartridges. So we had a whole lineup of toner. Then we expanded in a complete line of office supplies, and then janitorial products and IT products. So now we're over 15 years of out of that 25 of federal work, and we have 2 GSA schedules, and we're excited for this next iteration on FSSI OS4.
Absolutely, that's good stuff. Just a little bit of experience there. You have great contract performance, which is great, and you also qualify as a small disadvantaged business, which is good. Still a checkbox, not quite like the 8A, right?
That's right. Yeah, so Cartridge Savers was in the 8A program, but we successfully went through the entire program and graduated. So we're done. We're a graduate, and you know, it was a great program that the SBA offered.
Yep, and I love the fact that you are from 2013 through 18 last year, Outstanding Ability 1 Authorized Distributor Award. That's great. So
yeah.
So why we're here because of government-wide category management. So that's kind of the umbrella over top of what's happening with FSSI. The whole objective is to deliver more savings, making sure you have the best value and efficiencies for federal agencies. This includes not having to deal with multiple contracts and the redundancies there, and to help meet the government's small business goals, because they do have challenges with that and other socioeconomic components, right? So the idea is making it easier for you to do that. And looking back at FSSI, it actually started back in 2006. That was OS1, FSSI OS1. And as a result, it worked out pretty well. And they did a reiteration of that was released and awarded in 2010 with OS2. A lot of input from VA. Appreciate the VA folks that are here, as well as DHS, Navy. We're all involved with that. And then GSA did a great job of being able to get this out, and OMB said, hey, this makes good sense. And they drove it as a mandatory contract vehicle, which a lot of the different agencies picked up, right, Tom?
Yep, so we came on the scene for OS2 in 2010, and that's where they started to drive the mandatory use of the FSSI contracting vehicle. And at the time, that's when we came on with about a third of the VA hospitals across the country, dozens of different agencies, and then on to OS3, where we were an authorized participating dealer on that contract, and now into OS4, where they're taking the best features of strategic sourcing so far, and then on top of that, dealing with some of the pain points that customers had that we'll talk about in a few slides.
Yep, absolutely. And this is a new approach, right? Because 75 was shut down there for a good while.
Yep, so 75 was closed to new offers, and the GSA wanted to reopen it. They went through an RFI process where they were looking at different paths they could take, and they settled on an approach where they were going to reopen the legacy 75, but then also add 2 new SINs to Schedule 75. And the exciting thing about that is, so in the past they did the FSSI contracts as a BPA and then as an IDIQ, and now as a brand new Schedule 75, it's going to allow it to last 20 years instead of 5. So we have something a bit more permanent than turning over every 5 years. Yep. So we're going to get all of the benefits of the previous contracts, but a little bit of more lasting power.
It's interesting you say that, because there was a lot of turmoil between 2 and 3, OS2 and 3, where there were protests, and that delayed it, and actually lost FSSI for about 6 months, I think, right?
Yeah, so and at that point, customers were, there was a lot of confusion on what to do, and agencies weren't sure if they were going to continue on, if there were going to be continued issues. But here, having a 20-year new schedule with these FSSI SINs, I think will allow more agencies to adopt it and for it to last a long time.
Yeah, and the on-ramping as opposed to, here's an award with X amount of people, I think it's gonna bode well for, I think, everybody in that. One of the other reasons why we're here is OS3 is being phased out, and it'll be phased out completely by September, before the fiscal year end, which creates some significant issues, as we all know, within the federal world. So it really depends on when they were on, when they were awarded, right? Because there's a few date differences. Some of them will expire in August, and then the rest will be in September, right, Tom?
Yeah, so these were 5-year contracts. They weren't all awarded the exact same day. So as they hit their renewals and option years, that kept with the same trend, that they were all on slightly different days. So they're all ending. The OS4 is going to be replacing OS3, but it's kind of a staggered end date. And OS4 is live now, so we have this overlap period that we're in today.
Well, that's a good point, because it's already mandatory for state, USDA, and Air Force. Those agencies have already said, okay, we're making this a mandatory contract, and shifted over from OS3 to OS4. And we do expect also that OS4 will be mandatory for the rest of these agencies here. And DHS obviously is a suite of agencies underneath of that. So, there's a bunch of agencies that are already looking at this as being the model for that. And a couple of agencies also are waiting for it to become best in class. What does that mean, Tom? What is best in class?
So that's a designation from OMB. They take a look at the contract, make sure it checks all the boxes, is doing all the things that it's supposed to do, and is doing it better than all the other contracting vehicles out there. OS3 was awarded best in class, and the GSA expects OS4 to get that designation here in the near future. So there were a few agencies, Treasury and Education for sure, that in their letters of commitment said as soon as this contract hits best in class status, they're going to join as a mandatory source.
Yeah, that's good. So as you can see, a lot of different agencies are doing that. And you mentioned this earlier, there's enhanced SINs, there's 220 and 280. What are the differences between these two SINs? And we'll get into the nuts and bolts of what matters to both, but what are the differences for these?
Yeah, so before that even, we have 75-200, the legacy Schedule 75, and that still exists. It's open now, so vendors can on-ramp onto that. But the enhanced SINs, what's going to be the FSSI OS4 SINs, are the contract vehicles that have the additional enhancements, the better pricing, the better reporting, the things that we saw on OS3 that we'll talk about here. And then in between the two SINs, one is for CONUS locations and the other is for OCONUS locations with shipping built in overseas. So,
and you take a look at this, you mentioned this earlier, it's a 20-year contract, which solves a lot of the problems. On-ramp system, not just award and then those group of contractors have those, or vendors have that. But it does reach out to the best-in-class vendors. You guys have been doing this for a long time, so that's one of the reasons why you're here. But a couple of these things are really critical, is that you have to be an AbilityOne certified distributor, right? And you cannot even participate as OS4 without it, right?
Exactly. So this was all built on what customers are looking for, and they're looking to meet their AbilityOne requirements, to meet compliance with that program. So to be a FSSI dealer on these new enhanced SINs, everyone's required to be an authorized AbilityOne dealer. So shopping on the new FSSI contract, you can be assured if you select anyone with the FSSI logo, they're going to have that complete offering of AbilityOne products. They're going to be scrubbed from having ETS, essentially the same items that would compete head-to-head with AbilityOne items. And they're going to have the entire offering loaded on GSAadvantage and their portals.
And TAA compliance also part of that, right?
Yep, and so that's something that we're supposed to see, obviously, across Advantage, but it's something that for the enhanced SINs, the vendors were required to provide a detailed, in-depth plan for how they were going to maintain TA compliance. So that's not just saying, well, I looked once and it's okay. This is we need to proactively work with the manufacturers and the distributors of these products to get any changes that happen right off the bat. We need to update our schedule, delete things if they move to, the country of origin changes to a non-TA compliant country. So there's a lot more that proactively needs to be done on the FSSI contract. So again, shopping when you see the FSSI logo should mean then that you're buying TA compliant products on schedule.
Absolutely. And 24-hour fill kill, that means you have a quick turnaround to be able to get back to the customer. And there's a lot of things that revolve around that. So you want to go into that a little bit about what that means?
Yeah, that was a big pain point for a lot of federal customers, that they would place orders on GSAadvantage and then it would sit there and they wouldn't hear anything. And, a couple of weeks would go by and all of a sudden the order would get canceled. And the GSA was looking to solve that issue. So we now have on the FSSI contract a fill or kill window. We're required to either fill the order and get it moving right away, or if there is a stock issue, which happens occasionally, to reach out to the customer. If it's a back order situation, get confirmation that the customer is willing to wait for a reasonable back order, or if it's out of stock or if the back order is too long, to kill that line item right away. So there's no extended waiting period and then cancellation that you might see from some other Schedule 75 legacy holders.
And speaking of Schedule 75 legacy, there was a lot of angst about the minimum orders, right? So you had situations where they just needed a couple of pieces and they couldn't do it because the minimum order was $100 or $1,000 or something like that, right?
Yep. So with the new FSSI contract here, minimum orders are being phased away. There are convenience fees in their place. So you're able to order the micro transactions if you need just a box of pens or a ream of paper or something like that. You're able to still use the contract vehicle and not have to go shopping on the open market to get small transactions.
And maximum discount, no matter how it comes in, they can come shopping at your place. They can order it online through Advantage, or they can go to your portal, all those things. That means that the FSSI pricing goes across the board and you guys are in control of making sure that that's accurate, right?
Exactly. So if you're a GSA customer, no matter how you order, if you want to drive out to Wisconsin and visit us in the store or order on our website or shop on Advantage or FedMall, you're going to get the same low pricing applied automatically at the point of sale. And
the other thing that kind of ties into that quick fill kill thing is if you order it off of from OS4 deal, it's going to land in 4 days, right?
Yep, exactly. So that, again, another pain point. Some legacy Schedule 75 holders had delivery terms as long as 30 days. And no one wants to wait that long, obviously. So the new contract solves that by having a 4-day delivery window. In practice, the vast majority of our orders are even faster than that. We have about 30 different warehouses that we have across the country that we can pull from. And most orders will be 1 to 2 days. But again, you're not waiting 30 days for an average office supply order.
Absolutely. And then product controls and enhanced reporting. We're actually going to look at those a little bit more in detail. Well, you've been mentioning pain points. One of the other major issues was this gray black market thing happening. Toner cartridges, that's your wheelhouse. That's where you started. So you know this cold. Tell us a little bit about what has happened over the years and some of the things that the GSA is working to solve with this.
Yeah, so this is a major complaint on the toner side of things that the GSA is working to resolve and has made some great strides so far. This was where you order an OEM, an original toner cartridge and a remanufactured or a clone product shows up at your door. And you know, it was a problem in the commercial world, but it leaked into the federal world to the point where there was a legacy 75 holder. He actually had 2 different companies on Schedule 75. Massive bait and switch program like this. Ended up getting arrested. Had to forfeit $1.7 million in court, and I haven't heard about the sentencing, but up to 20 years in federal prison for that scheme. So definitely a big pain point. No one likes getting something other than what they ordered. So FSSI OS4 is solving that in a couple different ways. One, we have enhanced letters of supply that are required. To be on the enhanced schedule, you need to be authorized with HP, Xerox, Lexmark, and Clover, the 4 major toner suppliers. And that's going to go a long way in cutting down on the gray or black market items that were being used in these bait and switch scenarios. And then no substitutions are allowed on any products, toner or otherwise, unless there's written confirmation and acceptance from the contracting officer or purchaser of those goods. So, and that happens sometimes.
Sure.
You know, items out of stock, item has been moved to a different country for country of origin. There are legitimate reasons why occasionally items would need to be substituted, but with communication and you know, understanding, getting it in writing, we'll deal with those issues as they pop up.
And those are normal issues, right?
Yep.
The biggest issues, obviously, and people will try to do things that they shouldn't. And then if it's very difficult, especially in toner cartridge world, most people aren't even paying attention. They're cracking it open, they're putting it in the machine, and then it either works or it doesn't, right? But when it doesn't work and you start looking into it, that's when you really have some problems. But on the other side, it's this OS4 also helps on the back end, being able to do your reports, making sure that you're meeting your goals and all the reports. From an agency standpoint, you're actually doing some pretty substantial work for them that'll give them what they need across, so that when they're doing their reports, it makes it very, very easy for them, right?
Exactly. So TDR, transactional data reporting, was a pilot program on Schedule 75 in the last couple of years, and it's mandatory now for the FSSI SINs moving forward. So these enhanced reports are a great amount of data that we report on our sales every month. It allows agencies to really dig into their spending, see what they're buying, see where they're buying and who they're buying it from, what goals they're meeting as far as, you know, socioeconomic or ability one purchasing. Are you meeting your green reporting? And the agencies have the ability to customize these as well. If there's additional data that they're looking for, something that applies only to their agency, they're able to turn to the FSSI dealers and get these enhanced reports.
Excellent. And some of these go right down to the agency level. I know you do a lot of work with the VA, and that gets pretty specific, doesn't it?
Yeah, so the VA has station ID codes for each of their locations, and they want that data tied to the sales. It helps them with their reporting and helps them get the big picture across the entire country. So that's something that we're able to do. We add the station IDs to each of the orders, and similar things can be done for other agencies as necessary.
Right, and you do this all the time. That's part of the process, right?
Routine, yeah.
Routine, love it. And speaking of routine, this has to be routine for everybody. Everybody that signed up. These are all your contract holders. Obviously, you cartridge savers, you are one. It's not, you're number 3 on the list, although you do a lot of business through FSSI, the OS 2 through 4, right? So the objective is,
right.
These are the folks that are they're approved. And this, like we talked before, this is an on-ramping process where more companies will come on board over the course of time, and then you have the ability to place those orders. And there's multiple ways you can do that. You kind of mentioned this earlier. You have order portals, like the big order portal is GSAadvantage, right? So you go there, you type in the item number, or you can do a search. There's a lot of flexibility within that environment. And all you have to do is look for the blue FSSI little symbol there, and it tells you that's what tells you if you're fizzy, right?
Exactly. So yeah, couldn't be easier. It pops up right there, a nice big blue box. You can tell who the fizzy dealers are. And yeah, as the on-ramping process continues, you'll see some new fizzy dealers. These are the companies that have shown that they're able to meet all of the enhanced requirements for the SIN. And it's pretty easy to sort either by looking for the box, or there's also drill downs on the left-hand side where you can select strategic sourcing items. That's
exactly right. And the other place they can do, you have your own ordering portal. Other companies may have it. It's not universal. It's not required, right? But you also have it. And so if they wind up going to your portal, what does it take to get into your portal as a government customer?
So it's pretty easy. We just revamped our entire website back in June in preparation for this contract. And all you have to do is click sign in. And when you put in your name and email address, select I am a GSA customer, and we'll then apply the GSA contract pricing to your account. That way, as you're shopping, you see GSA pricing rather than commercial pricing. If your agency has a particular BPA with us, as many do, we're able to tie the BPA pricing directly into your account too, so you can shop for the particular items on your purchase agreement without having to go on Advantage and finding us and then saying, well, our price is better than Advantage's price because we have this BPA, and then emailing us. It takes out a lot of steps for the buyers to just go on the website and have everything just tied to their account.
And so folks that are here and they came in late, you have a lot of experience in working with federal customers, and you talk with them every day because they're picking up the phone and saying, hey, can you get me this? Can you get me that? And they can access it that way, or they can just pick up the phone, right?
Exactly. And yeah, we're more than happy to help over the phone, via email. We still get fax orders too.
Imagine that.
And yeah, obviously a great chunk comes through Advantage and FedMall, but we have a lot of customers that are finding it much more convenient to have an account on our website, on our portal, and having everything just tied to their account, seeing all of their pricing in one spot, and not having to spend a long time hunting around an Advantage for good pricing.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, I appreciate that. And we're going to get to some questions. So if you have any questions, you can open that panel on the side and you can raise your hand if you'd like to talk. And if you did call in on the phone, make sure that you entered your audio pin. But you can also chat that right in there with the questions panel, and we will get to that. We do have some questions that were already submitted, so we want to include this for you. So what about pricing? How do you know that you're getting the best price? And we already talked about that a little bit, but you can look for the fizzy number. But no matter what process you have of getting to you, whether you're taking a plane up to Madison, Wisconsin, because you're probably not going to drive, but if you want to stop by, they can come in and do it there at your site, or any of these places. FedMall, you mentioned that as well. For those who aren't aware about FedMall, what is FedMall?
FedMall is a different ordering platform similar to GSAadvantage. It's set up for DoD users. It used to be called DoD eMall until last year when they made some enhancements and changes to the system. So that's just another equal ordering platform. And yeah, I think we touched on that point, but it's a really big piece of the puzzle that pricing is the same no matter how your order's coming in. You'll get the discounted pricing. And we had a question last session. Gentlemen wanted to know about how our pricing came to be, I guess, or how the GSA is ensuring that FSSI vendors are offering good pricing. So I can just touch on that real quick. At the time of application, we take all of our items that we're proposing to the government, we send them into the GSA, and they do a comprehensive price analysis. So they check against Advantage and FedMall and commercial sources, and hit it against each single item that we're selling to make sure it's competitive, and not only competitive, but a good price for the government. And they come back and they'll give us a report, and they'll tell you your pricing looks great on most of these items. Here are some that we want you to bring within market threshold, and that opens up negotiations to get the most competitive pricing for the government.
And that's one of the things that we've heard as well, is that when you go on GSAadvantage, the pricing's all over the place, along with the FSSI pricing as well. So I think we're going to see that kind of shrink. Like you said, there's a threshold that you had to meet across the board as well as individual products, right?
Exactly. So that'll shrink. And of course, the other piece of the puzzle is you can see the pricing on Advantage. Everyone's pricing is publicly available. So you can do your own due diligence there on Advantage.
Yep.
It makes it pretty straightforward.
Yeah, straightforward. So appreciate that. So what about AbilityOne? This is one of the key issues for agencies, being able to make sure that AbilityOne gets the first crack at it, right?
Yep. So that was the two-prong approach. One, that we're required to be AbilityOne distributors and have all of our AbilityOne items on Advantage. And two, that our ETS, essentially the same items, are scrubbed off the contract. So users don't accidentally purchase an item that's essentially the same as an AbilityOne item.
Absolutely. And to your point, if you have your vendor portal, you can actually sort. If they're on your portal, you go right to AbilityOne if you need it, right?
Exactly. So we have an entire category for AbilityOne products. It's right on the main page. You can click on the catalog and it will go there. Or when you're searching for items, a particular toner or office supply, there are the drill downs on the left-hand side where you can select AbilityOne if that's the item that you're looking for.
Absolutely. Great questions as well. And what about the gray market products? You touched on this, and some of the folks that were operating the gray area or black area are now using AbilityOne toilet paper.
That's right. In the federal penitentiaries, the BOP buys AbilityOne toilet paper by the truckload. That they're a big customer of ours. So yeah, the GSA has been doing a great job at cracking down on these gray market and bait and switch type of vendors, and they've taken another step forward with these enhanced letters of supply and vendor authorizations.
Yep.
So you should feel confident shopping on Advantage or the vendor portals of FSSI contract holders that you're going to get what you ordered.
Exactly. And somebody asked this earlier about how does the pricing work in the vendor portals, and you kind of touched on this. And the first thing for your particular portal is they sign up or they call you, one or the other, right? And then it follows their login into your portal, right?
Yep. So cartridge savers, as well as most of the other FSSI dealers, have commercial sales as well, and that's the pricing that you're going to see on the website if you're not logged in. So if you accidentally go through the steps and try placing an order at commercial pricing, we'll fix it and get it corrected. But the easiest way is to create an account, check that you are a federal customer, GSA customer, and we will apply the FSSI pricing to your account. If you are in an agency that has a particular BPA, we can tie that pricing in as well.
Yep. And that's important because sometimes you have relationships and you're just doing huge quantities on BPAs for individual agencies. So whatever it is, that's the best. that you ensure that they get the best price.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yep.
So we'll make sure your account is tied to all the correct contracts, be it FSSI or be it a BPA.
Yep. Perfect. And if you have any other questions, you can shoot them over. You can do it at FSSI@cartridgesavers.com. You can open up that panel. I don't see any more right off the bat. So I know somebody asked in the last one about having the presentation. Yes, you will get a copy of the presentation as well as other things. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But avoiding the gotchas. This is keeping your agency and you out of hot water in particular. We just would like your job to be easier. So use these FSSI OS4 contract holders. You can still gain access to the legacy side if you need to, right?
That's right. They're still available out there.
That's right. And one of the things you mentioned is there can be a big difference in the pricing. If you see a price that's too good to be true, chances are it is, especially if you have a bunch of FSSI holders here and then you have this other price that's way down here, right?
That's right. Buyer beware if pricing looks too good to be true. You know, beyond something sinister like bait and switch, there's also a lot of vendors on Advantage that aren't active in the federal space, and that might mean your pricing is 5 years out of date, and they don't actually have it, and maybe they don't check Advantage orders but once a week, and then you're in one of those situations then where you place an order and it just sits stale for a long time until it's eventually canceled. So if something seems too good to be true, I would caution everyone to double check before placing that order, or just order from one of the FSSI vendors. These are all the companies that have made commitments to all these enhanced contract features and are active in the government space.
That's a great point. And that includes TAA compliance, sustainability, no bait and switch, and it solves a lot of the quality control issues. We really didn't talk about a whole lot of that, but revolving around toner cartridges, quality control, huge issue, especially when you're dealing with gray and black market issues like that. Solves that, right? So the other part is it helps you meet your AbilityOne mandates and keeping you on track. All those custom reports are great, and it gives you access to AbilityOne catalogs so that you can order straight from them, whether it's directly through Advantage or through their portal or FedMall, as you mentioned earlier, and your sustainability and TAA requirements are all met. So all good stuff. And that's why, GSA did a great job with OS4. A lot of lessons learned over the course of the years. Love the on-ramping. I think it's great. Congratulations to you for being able to get that, Tom. That's good stuff.
Thank you.
So what's next? You will get a quick survey after this, and you'll have links to the OS4 holders. We'll get that for you, a PowerPoint presentation link, as well as a video link so you can watch this over and over and over and get all the insight that you can from Tom. And your Q&A will be included, as well as FSSI OS4 documentation, so that you can see where this comes from that. And so with that, we're going to let you guys go. Tom, thanks again for joining us, and it's great to know that this contract's coming up, and it's going to, as it's already there, but it's going to start
live today.
It is live right now. So if you'd like to reach Tom, there's tom.w@cartridgesavers.com. That's how to get to you. They can reach out to your team and give you a call at the 866 number. It's toll free. So there you go. And otherwise, your FSSI contract number's down there on the right-hand side. So any parting things that you'd like to say, Tom?
Well, thanks for having me, Dave. Thanks for everyone who joined. And yeah, we're looking forward to this contract for the next 20 years. So maybe it'll take me close to retirement, not all the way there, but.
You got a lot of working to do, man. That just about gets your new babies through. You have a 2-year-old and a 2-month-old. Is that what you said?
Yep, 2 years and 2 months. So yeah, this will last just long enough for them to come over and start the 3rd generation.
Yep. All right, very good. Well, thanks again, Tom. Appreciate it. Thanks for everybody for coming. We know that that your job is challenging, to say the least, especially when you're dealing with new contract and new ways to be able to purchase. But I think we got a good one here with OS4. So check it out, use it, and let us know what you think as well. So we appreciate it. Have a great rest of the day, and we will see you next time. Thanks, Tom.